All right, hello and welcome to another episode of Bugwatch. I'm your boy Swissley and I'm here today to talk to you about Tyranids. I am hyped to talk to you about one of my favourite units in the game at the moment. And one of the things that's keeping me stuck on those nids, baby, because it's such a cool unit, I'm pleased to be able to talk about it. Of course, do the usuals, like, subscribe. It would be really cool if you did that. We've had some really good success on the channel recently, and that is thanks to you guys. So thank you very much. Obviously, we've got loads of great shows on. We've just started a project called Grey to Greatness, which it seems to be the other way around for me because I'm going grey in my old age. But I am taking on Final Day, so I'm starting to collect the Final Day things you need, and I'm gonna take it to a GT. I'm painting it. I'm showing you the schemes, showing you why I'm interested in it and all that jazz. So I'm really excited for that. So really cool. But of course today I'm not going to leave the Tyranids. I still love the Tyranids. Of course, if I'm going to go to another army, it would be Final Day, where I can actually play my what else we got? We've got an amazing show tomorrow night. We've got that 6++ show. We're hosted by I think he's a GSC player as well. There's some other GSC players in the 6++ lineup. Tom might be one of them, and he's hosting it. And they're talking about, does 40k need an emergency balance patch? Now, Tom tends to be a bit of a fence sitter. I don't think he's going to be a fence sitter on this one. So watch that show. It'll be very entertaining. All right. See what we've got in the chat. We've got Paul Evans in the chat. Hello, Paul. You're always watching the show, so much love to you, sir. Thank you very much. Poop Smash. Hi, Poop Smash. Poop Smash. And we've got Theo. Hey, mate. Nice to see a non-Tyranid player coming to watch. Still blows my mind how many people come up to me and say, "Oh yeah, I love Bugwatch," and I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much. What have you brought? What detachment of Tyranids have you brought?" And they're like, "No, I play Votan," or "No, I play Guard. I just enjoy you chatting shit." And I'm like, "That's cool. I'm happy about that." Yeah, cool. So how are you guys? Let's talk about the old One Eye. All right. I got a big kudos in our Discord. Oh, by the way, if you're not in our Discord, why not? It's very much the coolest Tyranid Discord. I've not been there for 2 weeks. I've had a bit of a crazy couple of weeks, guys. Jeez Louise, what happened? We hosted that 6++ event. That was amazing, by the way. Would love to see any of you there at the next one we do, hopefully in 6 months, but don't tell anyone. It's all super secret. That was an incredible event with incredible people. It was just so much joy in my heart. I've never not played 40k and been so happy about it, because I was running the event with the other guys. What else then? And then I started a new job. That's exciting. And then 2 socials. I had my leaving drinks, and then I had my starting drinks on 2 separate nights, like consecutively. Oh, crazy. That was my wife's birthday, and went into London. We saw Hamilton. Have you seen Hamilton? It's lovely. It's really good. Right. Okay, let's talk about this unit. I'm coming out of a crazy week, so I'm a bit frazzled. Right, let's talk about this. I'm a big fan of my thumbnail skills here. I'm pretty cheap with that, but it's true. These guys are, well, let's get into it. If I can move the thing on. All right, let's talk about these units. One Eye isn't very good. He's not great. He's all right. Let's look at what he kind of does, right? He brags to his mates that he hits on 3s because all of his mates hit on 4s. He looks skinny next to a Haruspex, so you can rapid ingress him in places maybe a Haruspex might not be able to. He has a 5 feel no pain built in, and he regains wounds. He's quite annoying, and he makes your opponent really mad when they put him on 1 wound. You can pick one of 2 profiles to whiff with. Like, that's super exciting. And of course, he has a sweep attack, which is almost laughable. Let me remind myself. Is it AP1? I think it might be AP1. It is pretty bad. I mean, you're not buying all One Eye for his sweep attack, right? You're buying all One Eye for his absolute sledgehammer attacks. Yeah, so his sweep is 12 attacks in on 3s, strength 6, so you're wounding Marines on 3s or anything with T4 and 3s. -1, 1 damage. It's not the most exciting sweep attack in the world. We do have the strike. This is what we're in. This is what we're having all One Eye for, right? This is what we're liking for. Okay, well, if he's bad, what are the other guys like? What's the other half of this combo? Oh no, they're terrible. Oh no, they're one of the worst units in the book. This Screamer Killer feels bad for these guys. Even the Screamer Killer's like side-eyeing them, going, "Wow, these guys suck." I would say they hit 50% of the time, but they also miss 50% of the time because they hit on fours, regardless of anything. Let's take a little dream journey. All of us get on the boat together. Let's all go back to 9th edition. Do you remember when these guys they hit on threes with heavy venom cannons, and it was so good. And then they'd get in combat with reasonable combat attacks, and it was just, mwah, it was so good. They do though. So yes, you might miss nearly half of your attack or all of your attacks or whatever. But there's a million weapons from which to choose from to miss all of those attacks. That's exciting. They have Surge. Now Surge, legit, good rule. Not as good as it was previously, but it is a good rule. It is a good rule. And you get +2 to it. Not many people have that. That's really great. But unfortunately, these guys make the Haruspecs look like absolutely fantastic value, right? These are 115 points for like T9, 8 wounds, 2 up armor, or you can have a Haruspecs, which is T11, 3 up armor, 14 wounds, and loads more attacks, hits on 3s, blah blah blah. So yeah, these suck. All One Eye's not great. These guys are worse. However, if you put these guys together, all of a sudden they create this super cool combo of rerolling hits. There is some, it's almost like they're like, you are the missing piece of me, something like that, right? They are hyped to see each other. They're almost like they become a superhero combo where All One Eye's leading them and saying, hey, here's all your here's your reroll hits. By the way, little spoiler for ahead, you might see Nick Fury in this picture is a Neurotyrant, and there is a reason behind that. Yes, their superpower is reroll hits. So, stepping away from these units, I have a question. A Carnifex plus time minus 1 eye equals Old One Eye, right? That is how they get to Old One Eye. And his ability is to give his unit reroll hits. How does this guy lose an eye, get old, and become more accurate? How does that work? On what planet does that become a thing? Because my understanding is you lose an eye, you lose depth perception, you get old, right? I'm not as accurate as I was when I was a teenager playing cricket or rugby or football. Like, I am not good. And not only that, not only is he more accurate when he's with his mates, he makes his mates more accurate too. And he's only more accurate when he's with his mates. It's like he's showing off. You know? I just don't get this rule. So I've come up with a law for all you law heads that watch Bug Watch. I don't think there's many. All you law heads. Here's my law accurate explanation. I think they all see through each other's eyes, right? They get into a unit and they go, right, and it's like a spider, like they can see through each other's eyes. Old One Eye's eye, though, is really good because the guy that shot him must have shot him in the bad eye, and he's just left him with the good eye. And now all the other Fexes can see through his really, really good eye, like 20/20 vision eye. But Old One Eye has bad depth perception, so he has to use the other kind of Fex's eyes to get accurate. Making sense, right? That would explain that when his mates die, Old One Eye gets worse. When Old One Eye gets taken out, his mates get worse, right? I think. Right. Look, I haven't written a GW book before. I am open to offers. If anyone from big plastic model is watching, right? I'm here to write your Black Library. Come at me. All right, next one. Oh, actually, let's look at the wall real quick. We've got some comments. This is lovely. Phil, hello, Phil Waghorn, you absolute legend. Hello, mate. Christopher Till, excited for Tyranids Kill News team on Thursday. Ooh, Kill team news on Thursday. That's exciting. Are we going to get a broken unit like everyone else? That would be sick. Poop Smash, very happy to see this topic. Painting up this unit now. Oh, mate, it's the best. It's so good. And as well, you know what's really, it's a good unit that not many people use. And I think that is a Venn diagram for absolute, like, enjoying the hobby for me. That's where I absolutely love to be. And AJ Skozak, good morning from Korea. Oh my God. Hello, mate. I'm sorry you have to listen to me explain law accurate, All One Eye and Friends rerolling hits from all the way from Korea. but you are painting Chaos Knights and always a Tyranid main at heart. Big up. Chaos Knights are pretty cool though. Yeah, if you're gonna collect Knights, it's Chaos Knights, innit? It's not the goody two shoes Knights. They suck. All right. So there's my law accurate explanation. So let's talk about the unit in a bit more seriously. As serious as I can get. Let's look at the detachment and how this unit really works in them. So Invasion Fleet, big yes. I love this unit in Invasion Fleet. It's really, really good. Crusher Stampede. I have tried it in Crusher Stampede, and I've used all one eye in Crusher Stampede. I've used 2 Carnifexes in Crusher Stampede before. It's a bit of a meme, and they are viable in that. Like, it does kind of work. You don't necessarily need all one eye to make it work. You can do the reroll hits in melee with the, I think it's the strat. The problem is when you lose, you have to wait until you lose 1 whole Carnifex before like the unit hits on 3s or 2s for all one eye. So it's kind of like, it's not great. I wouldn't recommend it. Assimilation Swarm, nah, not really. Vanguard Onslaught, nah, not really. And then anything, the other ones, the Unspoken Detachment Children, no, not really. So I'm telling you, my humblest opinion is this unit only works in Invasion Fleet. There's 2. He's got the all one eye and friends have 2 buddies that I particularly like to partner them with. The completely out of focus, or the badly, what do you call it? I can't remember. It's out of focus in computer language. Neurotyrant. So I really like the Neurotyrant because this unit does not have Synapse, and because it's really good in Invasion Fleet, you kind of want to be dropping a 5 at Feel No Pain on it. Or in combat, you might indeed want to drop the crits on 5s, etc., etc. So being able to give it Synapse is really good. Spoiler alert, I don't actually have this in my list, but what I would like to say is I do really like it in this list. And then you've got the Hive Tyrant. Now the Hive Tyrant's great because it just gives them the free strats, but also lethals and assault. So these guys can be advancing up the board, shooting with lethals, and that really, really changes the game on this unit. So I wouldn't take this unit without a Hive Tyrant. I do take it currently without a Neurotyrant, but the Neurotyrant is pretty tasty. Oops, I added animations by accident. Right, so we're talking about what obviously all the choices you have for the Carnifex unit. And let's be real. We're taking shooting on these Carnifexes. I'm sad too, all right. I want to take punchy Carnifexes because punchy Carnifexes are cool, but we have a Screamer Killer for that now. So, okay, fine. So the 3 things that we are looking for out of the Carnifex, the things we're shopping for, right? Hence this image. AP, number 1 for me. I think we're quite low on shooting AP, except for big monsters. Strength, we want that sweet spot of strength that we can take out loads of infantry and things like that. And we want tons of shots. Because we've got Exocrines, we've got Tyrannofexes that have like fewer shots but blow things to pieces. What we miss sometimes is actually 1,000,000 shots. We have 1,000,000 hit attacks in combat, right? Jane Stealers, Raveners, Tyranid Warriors, Hormigants. We've got all the shots in combat. Sorry, all the hits in combat. But having all that shooting in all the weight of dice and shooting is where I think the dream is, right? That's where the dream is. So let's look at how that looks up. So we've got 4 options on the shooting profiles. Oh, and why am I not talking about combat ones? So the combat ones, yes, you do reroll your hits, but they'll only activate once. Like they have to really graft to get into a position to work. So I'm putting guns on them, and I think most people know this, but the guns will activate. You'll get so much more leverage out the guns, so much more activations out the guns, and actually all one eye fights enough for the entire unit. If you go into chaff, yeah, you're probably going to be there for a while, but the likelihood is your opponent's going to stick something pretty beefy in front of these guys. And if you do get stuck in chaff, you can shoot out of combat because you're a monster and you're still rerolling hits. So it's pretty great. So we've got 4 options for the big guns. Obviously, it comes with spine banks, and bioplasma. Like so, each one of them has at least 5 shots plus D3 blast. So you've got the 4 options on the extra guns that you can take. Spoiler alert, Death Spitters with Slimy Maggots is the best one, in my humblest of opinions. One of the guys in the Discord is vouching for Devourers with Brain Leech Worms. So you get double the shots at -1 strength. Okay, sounds okay so far. 0 AP. That's what kills it for me. 0 AP is a bit of a is just lame for me. I just don't like it. I like the -2 AP because then you can actually put things like tanks on notice, right? Someone comes out with a 3-up armor save tank, you overwatch it or you shoot it, and you're actually going to get damage through to it. So I am all about death spitters with Slimer maggots. I think there is a meta out there. There is a world out there. If Ed keeps bringing out loads of admech hordes, maybe you want 24 shots, re-rolling at strength 6, but no AP. Oh, it kills me, man. Yeah. You then so also what else have I tried? I've tried heavy venom cannons in Crusher Stampede to try and get them to hit on 3s in single units. It was just something I was trying for a bit of a meme. And guess what? It was rubbish. So not doing that again. And then the other one, that's interesting. Heavy venom cannons twice in here. I think the bottom one's supposed to be Stranglethorn. Spoiler alert, not very good either. So for me, you are taking the Death Spitters with Slime Maggots all day long. Look at these lovely schemed Carnifexes that I found on the internet. You can see the links on how to get there underneath. But let's be real, right? You want to be the guy on the left. You don't want to be the guy on the right with these little short arms. Carnifexes with little short arms don't look good, man. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm a T-Rex. Not great. So let's do some quick maths, right? So why am I taking slime maggots? Well, it's 38 shots in total. Now, asterisk, this is if you're within 6 inches of the unit you're shooting, because the spine banks, I think, are 6-inch range. Let's just go back to that and find out. Spine? No, I haven't put them on there. But anyway, I think they're like 6-inch range. So you need to be very close. In combat, you might say. So 38 shots with sustained versus infantry. So you probably want to be shooting infantry because you're in invasion fleet. With lethal hits, because you're near the hive tyrant, because you're dead clever and you thought ahead, right? You've also got assault, so you've advanced up. With full rerolls, that works out at 28 hits on average, right? When you hit on 4s, and 9 of those are lethal and sustained. So you're going to get a total of 37 hits out of 38 shots. Not bad, right? Not bad going. And these are all, and again, 9 of them have gone straight through. So you've put them on -2 AP, maybe -1 because they've got cover. That's already a great start. And then the rest of those are wounding strength 7. So you're wounding a lot of things on 3s. But hey, guess what? Loads of T3 bodies in the meta right now. You can absolutely plow through some chaff. But also, that many hits or that many wound rolls against T4 Marines, for example, is going to cause them problems, and they're going to get through stuff. And I've got a good example of that later. So that's them shooting. What about Overwatch, right? Your opponent puts something out. Oh, look, I'm just going to go and stand on this objective. Now you're dead because I overwatched you with 4 rerolls, sustained, and lethals. My quick maths is 11 lethal and sustained hits. So 11 just go straight through, and then 11 wound rolls. Tasty, very tasty indeed. So for me, one of the biggest uses of this unit, and one of the things I get most excited about, is Overwatch. Your opponent puts something out, you say, look, I can Overwatch that. Yeah, it's fine, I'm fine. Are you sure? I'm fine, okay. And they're dead. So overall, this is my biased opinion of this unit, right? The good things: Surge is super annoying for your opponent because they have to deal with it. It's high OC. It's a unit that has high OC and lethality, right? In melee and shooting. It's an amazing Overwatch threat. It has big guns now that's higher, so you can always activate, keep activating. It's a 2-up armor save, sometimes with a 5-up feel no pain because you're dead clever and you put it near the hive tyrant and in synapse. The downside, it is 380 points. It's an awful lot of points, right? I think, is Bellacore 380? I can't remember. Like, it's a lot of points. It's a 9.5, kind of, right? Broadly speaking. T9 with 8 wounds is not unkillable, right? To be fair. 8 wounds is kind of annoying for a lot of things, but T9 with 8 wounds is super doable, right? It will take your opponent's anti-tank. That will definitely be what they're aiming at, and we'll talk about why that's really good actually for us in a bit. And if they get separated, they kind of suck. So I've played with this list 15, I worked out 15 competitive games. I've lost 4 of them. One of them, one of the ones I lost, my old one I got precisioned out in combat and killed by a Keeper of Secrets, which was savage. And when the Carnifexes die, all One Eye does lose his lethality, but boy, does he stick around, because your opponent, the amount of time my opponents put all One Eye on 2 wounds or 1 wound, and then he just heals back up because they can't deal with him. And he just stands there with his OC3, sometimes hitting things in combat. Like, he's super good. So for my biased opinion is that's actually the only bad things. And yes, they are amazing. So let's talk about using the units. I can see a few comments in the chat. We've got CMDNEO10416 fun lore idea. Let's hope I hope they just fix the data sheets and give it a better ability. Man, I think if they hit on 3s, this unit would be broken. I think it would be pretty good if this unit hit on 3s. Like that, I don't know what else you want. 119 points, like, it's so good. Yeah. I would buy a Black Library book about all One Eye, to be fair. Yeah, man. Like, all One Eye is super cool. And then Poop Smash, do you typically deploy on board near the HT, or is it in reserve? Good in reserve sometimes. I don't like putting a 380 point unit in reserve. That feels bad for me. And because it's so many points, you are losing a lot of board presence. And my list, which we'll go through in a second, is actually quite light on units. It feels like a very elite Tyranid army. And as a result, I need them on the board. I actually start with everything on the board every game. Very rarely do I start with anything in reserve, but I do have loads of Raveners. So I kind of do have things in reserve if I want them there. So let's talk about using the unit. So I've said it's really good in Invasion Fleet. Here's the thing with Invasion Fleet, the classic, and go and watch an episode that I did with Greg Chamberlain a couple of months ago, where Greg won Best Tyranid Player in the UK. And he was a big Invasion Fleet guy, and he spelled it out really well. Invasion Fleet is very defensive, right? What it wants to do, it wants to castle up, it wants to secure its 2 objectives, and it wants to stay there and outscore your opponent on secondaries. It wants to punish your opponent for bad decisions, and that's kind of what they do. So castle and shoot, and loads of guns. So you castle up and you shoot stuff to death. You know, the way that Tyranids are designed to play. Still hate it that we are a shooting army at the moment. You have the access to the 5 at Feel No Pain, right? That's a very defensive. Our best strat in this detachment is very defensive. All the enhancements are very passive. They don't really give you many buffs in terms of killing stuff. So it tends to be that your strategy is to resist and outscore. All One Iron chums love getting up the board. They love causing your opponent headaches by standing somewhere that, they don't want to deal with them. That's where they're not useful sitting at the back shooting. They want to be mid-board. They want to be pushing into your opponent's deployment zone. It's a very aggressive unit. It's an Overwatch threat, so you want them in the middle of the board with as many angles as possible to do Overwatch. They can fight. It's not like it's an Exocrine. They can get into combat and they can punch things to death, especially big things. And they can shoot in combat. So once they're in combat, they then blow things up to death and then charge afterwards. Like, it's a very aggressive unit. So you've got this juxtaposition of, hey, this detachment's really defensive. Hey, this unit's really aggressive. I found out this to my detriment when I took them in my 100 Gaunt army, where I'm trying to play passive game with sneaky secondary, but then I've got all One Eye screaming up the side of the board with cowboy arms, pew 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 pew, and it just did not work as a list. So if you're going to have this unit, you have to have it in an aggressive army. Here's my list, and here's the thinking behind it. So my list at the moment: 15 games I've played competitively, won 11. Those games are a mix of a couple of RTTs, a GT, and some league games. So a bit of a mix-up, which is quite nice. So we've got a Hive Tyrant with and the reason why I'm telling you this is because you need to see the context of how this unit works with other units. Hive Tyrant with perfectly adapted, all 1 eye 2 Carnifexes, Broodlord 10 Gene Stealers, 20 Hormigans, Biovore, Lictor, Exocrine, Rupturefex, a Norn, not aggressive, but we'll talk about that in a minute, 2 times 3 Raveners and 6 Raveners. So again, not many units here, right? You don't get an awful lot of stuff in this list, and that's because nearly a fifth of it is made up by Carnifexes. So here's the thinking behind the list. And I encourage you to do this when you build a list. The number one thing is, what do I want to play? What unit do I want to get on the table? And what unit do I want to play? For me, number one unit was all 1-eye and 2 Carnifexes, because I love playing with them. There's a lot of fun. And then second tier was Raveners. I really wanted to use Raveners, and I feel like they're aggressive as well, so it kind of works with all 1-eye with the Fexes. I wanted a flavor of Norm because I'd painted 2 about 4 months ago, and I've not used one in competitive play yet. So I was like, right, need a Norn in there. And a Broodlord and 10 Gene Sealers, because I also thought they were quite aggressive. I've always been a Tyranid Warrior stan, and now I've come to the dark side, and I agree that Broodlord and his friends are better. So the list identity, broadly speaking, is lots of aggressive damage 1 units. So whether that's Raveners, Gene Stealers, and Carnifexes, there's loads of damage 1. That's going to get through Chaff. It's going to get through, and it's all AP 2 except for the Raveners. So it's going to get through things in combat. It's going to things without cover. So there's real threat there at damage 1. I do still have the Exocrine and Rupture effects to do those, to be a threat and be enough of a shooting threat. I do have access to movement tricks, so we've got Overrun, which I love using, especially with the Gene Stealers, and we've got Raveners, where my opponent thinks, hey, this part of the board's safe, and I just uppy downy 6 Raveners, and then stage them, and you have to plan a fair bit in advance, essentially 2 turns in advance, because you have to pick them up, and then you don't want to put them down in your turn and drop in 9-inch charges. That's no fun. You want to rapid ingress them and then charge. So that's kind of that. We have access to Dev Wounds, which obviously really good in this game, and sometimes you just need them to get through an Archon or something daft like that. And enough shooting to scare the opponent, which I've talked about. You can have 3 Rupture Fexes, but I tend to find that our opponents are just as much scared of 1 as they are 3, especially if you put it in a really main shooting lane. I have the Exocrine there to really help out the Rupture Effects. If something needs to die, I want to be rerolling ones to hit against it. And what I really like about this list is it can play the defensive game. I have the units to do it, but I can also switch on to being really aggressive real quick. So yeah, the performance of the list so far, out of 15 games, 11 won. The losses have been to I'm glad he's not in the chat. John Watson, I've lost 2 of the games. I've lost this to John Watson. I've lost to his Marines, which was I think it was Vanguard Marines. His Tyranids, because I just played terribly in that game and deployed like an idiot. And the other 2 losses was Slanesh, which, let's be real, pretty difficult, right? So yeah. So I'm quite pleased with the performance of it. So here's some examples of how I've deployed it and how I moved them. So this is a typical deployment. I haven't got any pictures of this one, so I've just tried to position it here. So a couple of things to note. Right. So this, if you don't know UKTC, this is UKTC. I haven't played it on anything else, actually, but I would like to. This on UKTC is this big, scary angle that goes from one deployment zone to the other. It's terrifying. It's genuinely hard if you don't have long-range guns, because if you outrange your opponent, you just own this space, and they cannot use this space because you just shoot them. So, for example, I played Votan on this map at one point, and 24-inch range, I could just measure how far it's... Obviously, they want to deploy behind here because they don't want to get shot by the Rupture Cannon turn 1. So by the time that big old slow tank gets around here, its 24-inch range is not going very far, right? So I can just measure 24 inches to my Norn and the Carnifexes and say, right, you can't deal with that. You can't interact with that with your big stupid gun. So that's one of the things. If they do have threats, that's fine. They still will probably hide them behind here or behind here because they don't want to be shot by a Rupture Cannon turn 1. So in terms of what order do I deploy things in, I like to deploy my Exocrine here. Then my Rupture... I deploy my Raveners and Biovore first, obviously, to get some idea of what they're doing. But I like this combo. The Rupture Cannon's 48-inch range, so it will outrange almost anything on here except maybe Tau or something like that. But even then, Tau want no partnership with the Rupture effects. So you've got this angle here that you can just shoot downtown with. And of course, if they've got a big gun, yes, you can hide it behind here, but sometimes I don't mind sticking it out there because it just blanks the damage anyway. And whatever shot it, sure as hell is getting shot back. The Exocrine has the option of moving down here to then help out, or it can advance and shoot by moving around this corner here. The Norn is going to this objective because that's where he wants that objective, he wants to keep it. Why that one and not this one? Because this one's safer. So I can just move over there, just have that objective. Anyone comes anywhere near it, they're going to really struggle because I'm going to screen out all of this space with an Exocrine, generally speaking. So then let's get to the unit we're talking about. All One Iron Friends, what are they doing? I deploy this unit last. So we've got the Norn down. They're like, oh God, what are we going to do? We're going to have to shoot it, or we're going to have to deploy something to jump out and punch it. When you put all One Eye's guns here, so I generally put the Carnifexes first and then all One Eye behind, that is just opening up the Overwatch to this middle space. And believe me, they want no part of that. So if they go first, they jump out, get Overwatched, and they will suffer. You might be thinking, hey, your Norn is very visible. I'm 5 up, feel no pain in the Norn for a stratagem if needed. Don't worry about that. So what we're doing is we're threatening that Overwatch, and again, playing aggressively. They probably expect my Norn to go over here and just like, tiptoe around to this corner. No. We're actually going to really cause an issue for them. So what I tend to do, so everything moves up and it advances because it can advance and shoot if I need it to because of the Hive Tyrant. The old One Eye and his friends are going to try and get into this space here. So why are we doing that? Well, if the unit is here and they get shot, they just surge pretty much onto that objective. So I punish my opponent for shooting them. If they don't, then they're in a really good place to go this way and just push around this wall because this is a bit of a soft area to attack, which is good. I don't really want to be pushing them this way because my Gene Sealers are here. My Gene Sealers are going to be an inch away from this wall here. My Hormagun's going to be an inch away from this wall here. And my Lictors over here, generally speaking. And I'm generally letting them have this objective and saying, you have that, that's no problem. Because once I get my angles from here, I can shoot downtown, no problem anywhere. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. This is very much a brick wall of bodies that are unengageable because you are an inch away from the wall, and we're doing nonsense with the Carnifexes to, first of all, Overwatch threat here, and then turn 2, we're going to Overwatch threat down that way and down that way. So we're just constantly giving them bad decisions to make. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's see a picture. So this was a game against Orcs, the Oaks. This was a Warhorde army, which was really cool. So this is kind of an example of how I'd approach Terraform and Take and Hold. The overall plan really is there were so many Orcs. I'm going to show you another picture in a minute. It just shows you how many Orcs there were. There were so many boys. I think it was 100, something like that. And the problem is with that, on Terraform, with all those boys, I need to stop him terraforming. I cannot let him terraform. How do I do that? Well, actually, I do have a lot of OC. These Carnifexes are pretty tasty on OC. I've got my Hormagaunts a good OC. I've got my Norn that's good OC. Right, okay, let's get out there and try and deny some primary. So, passively hold one side with the Norn, ideally. In this matchup, not so much. You have to go and fight stuff, but that's fine. I'm going to push all my monsters down the other side to cause them problems down the other side and get as many angles on all the boys that are getting out of these trucks as possible. And I'm going to use my strong secondary tools to try and outscore the Orcs with all the different secondaries. So what was my plan for old One Iron Friends? How do they fit into there? Well, I don't mind my opponent coming forward and shooting in this deployment zone, right? So this is, by the way, sweeping engagement. So these guys can't be any further forward, and these guys scout up essentially into that wall and do the whole 1 inch away from the wall thing. These guys start here, which means I'm Overwatch threatening the middle objective. My opponent, unfortunately for them, drew area denial. So I blew these, I think they are tank busters, or I can't remember what they were, but either way, they were dead, is what happened to them. They died an awful death to Overwatch from these guys, which was great. Of course, one of the things I was worried about was Gazgul Thraka standing right there, looking all menacing and shit. I really wanted to take him out of the game, so I knew that my Hormagaunts were going to try and block this at some point and just say, no, you're not coming out. So the Carnifexes, after threatening Overwatch that way, we're going to go this way and threaten Overwatch of anything coming out of the trucks and etc. while also putting about 6 OC on that objective. So that was the plan. We can advance there because the Hive Tyrant's here as well, who can either move up behind that wall or move up behind here to try and block any kind of angles or shooting at him. As well, the other thing to remember, and this is relevant for the previous map as well, is I can stick my Tyrannofex and Exocrine out to an extent because my opponent is more worried about the Carnifexes running at them than the gun shooting at them from far away. So you tend to find that opponents will like go into the tank, thinking, how do I deal with these Carnifexes? While the Exocrine and the Tyrannofex just kind of keep shooting. So these guys moving over here is super good. If they stand on the objective, I've got the objective for the most part, unless you get something out. If he does do that and moves on to the objective, I know that I can come off it. So when he shoots me, I just surge into that way, and then I'm starting to pressure his home objective. So this is the kind of, you're just giving your opponent bad decisions to make, which is super cool. Yeah. So that's that. I hope that was useful. So I love this game. It was so much fun. Look at what a great angle. Look at all the punching that's happening here. If I remember rightly, yeah, so we came out with the Hormagaunts and we just stood in front of Gaz in this tank here. These boys all got out of this actually and then stood on this objective to deny it from my OC 15 Norn. The Norn ends up running around here and stamping on a lot of grots and things, but I think he gets the Terraform away on here, which was devastating. We do have some Raveners in here who are going to jump out and kill stuff as well. Oh, yes, I remember. So the Gene Stealers here ran across the board into these Orcs, and then the Orcs fought on death and killed them, which was a disaster. So in the end, I only actually won this by 2 points. I hung on by the skin of my teeth. Finn scored 34 points on his primary, which I think I did pretty well in denying. I only scored 30, but I did pip him on secondaries with my good secondary scoring. Looking at these broadly, I think we probably had equal. Yeah, he had good secondaries as well, so it wasn't too bad. All right, so that was that game. Let's look at a different layout. So this is a different UKTC map. So this is deployment like, what is it called? Crucible of Battle is what it is. So you can see here, this is after scout moves. So I've scouted my Gene Stealers to be an inch away from the wall here. There's a little gap there in case he's suicidal with these scouts. Yeah, so we're doing the same thing generally. I've decided to play the Exocrine here so you can move up to that way and shoot down that angle at these boys here. He's playing Firestorm. This is the game I lost. He's playing Firestorm, is John. So I was going to move that way so I could shoot these boys, no problem. Or I could move this way and get an angle down here. That was the plan with the Exocrine because there's not enough space here. Generally, I try and cram everything around here. I like the Exocrine being over here as well because you can move the T-Fex up and then have the Exocrine and T-Fex both threatening this wall. So if anything sticks its head through this piece of terrain, just blow its head off. So we're doing the same thing here. We're doing a slightly different, sorry. So because this is Scorched Earth, Purge of the Foe, things like that, I don't really get any benefit from holding more objectives than my opponent. I just want to stop them doing it to me. I want to have 2. I don't want them to have any more than 2. So we're going to play a quite defensive game. The Norn's going to stand on that objective. These boys, all one and his friends, then move up here, threaten that Overwatch down there. Then they can run that way if need be. One of the things I do quite like here is there's some Lancers here, right? So I could lose a Carnifex fairly easy. So what I did was I put them here. I had it so that if they were to shoot them, there is a potential way that I could cut off another angle, if need be, like to get behind the wall or to cut an angle from up here. Because knowing where things were, I could position them so that if they do surge, they surge into safety rather than more danger. All I'm trying to do is score 40 primary and then get through the game. 45 if it's Scorched Earth. So that's pretty much it. Move into this space here, threaten Overwatch, and then we're not really going to do anything. What we're trying to do really is scare my opponent to not push. Because as soon as they come through that wall, I've got all these guns to push through there. He hasn't got anything over here. He's loaded everything over here. So I feel like, you know what, counter-attack, like he sticks something through, my Carnifex blanks a damage or does something like that, and then I just deal with it and it'll be fine. I did lose the game, as it happens. I think I lost it by 10 points in the end. I remember, I'm sure John will agree, there was a few, it was a purge of the four this particular game, and there was a few kill mores that I gave up, and it was very close. Very, very close. But it was a good game. I remember that Ballistus lived on 1 wound. Dickhead. Right. And that is all One Iron friends. That's how I'm using them. That's how I'm enjoying playing them. Am I the best player on earth? No. Am I the best Tyranid player on earth? No. But I have thoroughly enjoyed using this unit. I've got a really good win rate with this list, and I hope you really enjoy playing with that unit as well. It'd be great to get any questions. If we don't have any now, that's totally fine. If you want to put them in the chat, I'm more than happy. Let's see what we have in the chat. Do you deploy them near the Hive Titan? Yeah, hopefully I've answered that question for you, Poop Smash. I really want to make this work. I've converted my 10th edition Screamer Killer into all one eye. Yeah, man. I've seen people do all one eye, like a Screamer Killer with all one eye's head or something like that. It's pretty cool, right? And I've seen people mold it so it looks like a skull. It's very, very cool. Poop Smash with a thumbs up. Love that. I always reserve them on mission 3 and 4, and the UKTC reinforces that left corner. Man, it's just the threat of someone stopping you bringing them in. That is all it is. They are huge. There's big old bases, and having them in reserve terrifies me. Also, you lose out on having an Overwatch threat turn 1, and that kind of hurts me as well. Just my opinion, Phil, but you know, me and you always disagree on stuff. Paul, great show, Davey. We'll give him a go. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. More than happy to help. And yeah, when can we start talking about 11th edition? Stop it, mate. Come on. I'm actually enjoying 10th, except for this awkward nonsense. While we're here, right, I didn't know whether to talk about this, but I'm more than happy because you guys, we're friends, right? We're friends. Well, what's a guy's vulnerability within being friends, right? As I've mentioned, not the best player in the world, but I'm all right. And we have a coaching thing at 6++. We have Tom coaching, we have Ed coaching, we have Rob coaching, and Tom's been at me to try it, right, and see if I can help some people get to our level, right? Well, I say our level, to help them improve. I don't know. I'm really awkward at this, right? As it happens, I used to do coaching in a professional capacity and all that kind of stuff. I would like to try it now. Do I think I'm too British to like say, hey, pay me this to coach you? So what I'm suggesting is, if anyone is out there and they want to give me a try, then pop me a message on Discord, and I will happily spend a little bit of time with you and see how you get on. And if you benefit, and that means I'll benefit because I'll do more of it. So if you are interested in coaching, I am happy to give some sample sessions out, and we'll see how we get on together. Maybe we'll create something beautiful. Right. Well, that is it for the show. Thank you for watching. You've been a pleasure. And come and join the Discord. Comment below what you think about all One Iron Friends. I'm here to hear about it. I will catch you later. Have a good one. Goodbye.